What if we get this show on the road? Hello there. Boy, this is my channel. I don't usually stream on Wednesdays, but it's, the week before Christmas, which means everything is loopy and weird and schedules don't mean anything. So here we are. We're going to do some writing. I figured I was around today. It's very low-key. Not a whole lot else going on in my life today, which is... I'm okay with that. That's it's like a good type of downtime. You know how there's that type of downtime where it's like, it's a bummer because, there's just nothing happening. But then there's the type of downtime where it's like your usual tremendous amounts of time spent with things happening is like finally slowing down. That's the one where I'm at today, where just everything is like I'm finally getting just a little bit of a breather from a lot of my conventional, insane schedule type stuff that I usually have going on. So I'm yeah, I'm pretty okay. I'm pretty okay with everything. Um, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do a little extra streaming today. Just nice chill. I'm not too worried about making any progress. Well, I mean, we're gonna make some progress on our world building. That's what we're here for. But I'm not gonna stress about, meeting a certain deadline or anything like that. We're just gonna get going, take it light and easy, and see what we accomplish today. So let's do it. Let's do it. Switch our screen over here. There we go. So, just a real quick recap. Working on writing a campaign for D&D 5e. Doesn't have to be 5e, but we're using stat blocks and resources that sort of make it a 5e. We're making a campaign. It's intended to be able to run a group of about 5 players from level 1 to level 10. Is the project that we are working on right now, which is it's a sizable project. It takes a lot of work to do that, as we're seeing, as I'm just step by step going through and writing it. But it's, for me, it's a whole lot of fun doing it. So we're having a good time with it. It's what we're working on. It's all taking place in my homebrew world. This is sort of it's a fantasy world, but it's a I mean, I guess you could kind of call it a fantasy version of post-apocalyptic, right? Where there was sort of an apocalypse event. There are a couple existing societies that remain in effect, or that remain intact, but for the most part, the world has been abandoned, which gives our players sort of a playground world of sorts, where there is all kinds of nasty, deadly monsters everywhere, but also lots of really cool, long abandoned, forgotten societies, civilizations, whatever you want to call them. So this is the world that we're working on, and you can see this is the map of my world that I like to work with. And our particular campaign that we're working on right now takes place in this in this hex right here. This hex, I chose it originally for this project because I figured, hey, it's got a lot of different environments. You can see we've kind of got the edge of the forest here. We've got mountains going on here, and we've got plains, like grasslands here. So there's a lot of different environments for us to explore here. And so I figured that would make it kind of a fun one for us to do. Sometimes campaigns are cool if they're all sort of in one single environment, but then the flip side is a lot of times it can help sort of a feeling of grandness. It can help add that to a game if we have a lot of different environments, because players feel like they're covering a much larger distance when you do that. So that was kind of the wisdom behind doing that. And so the basic premise of this, and we've got a region map, I'll pull that up in a minute, but the basic premise here is, so we've got our post-apocalyptic world, right? We have this trade route that exists, and these are basically, this one dotted line, that's basically the only route that exists that is well guarded, well mapped out, and considered safe for traveling along, as long as you're in sort of like a caravan or a part of a convoy. But now, these two cities, Fosvik and Muffafetting here, are interested in building their own direct route to sort of expand both of their trading options. So there's this effort from Fosvik to map out halfway down here, to at least get halfway, and then Muffafetting will kind of meet them part way. And our players are part of the Fosvikian. Fosvikian. I mean, why am I saying that as a question? It's my world. I can declare this. Yeah, it's Fosvikian. This Fosvikian effort to build a trade route that runs from up here, like down here, right? And so our players are part of that effort, and the effort has made it to about here. And so now we'll pull up that map. So here's our regional map. We can see the sort of mapped out part of the world here. You can see these are our mountain ranges, right? Our hiding mountains. This is our Siski Forest up here, and then this is our Golden Wind Plains. So you can kind of see how it all looks in a more zoomed in map. Our players are part of a larger group that is working on coming out here, and it's right around here where our campaign starts. And what has happened is what will happen, after they have a moment to, sort of introduce their characters and everything, as we dive kind of right into it, turns out that all of these Golden Wind Plains are the dominion of a metallic dragon. This dragon is not interested in having humanoids coming back into his territory. He's come to understand the history of the world, and he knows that humanoids tend to bring war and destruction and damage to the environment, so he's not super interested in having them there. So the dragon shows up, says, "Oi, get out of here." And the humans are like, "Look, man, we're just trying to get a trade route going here. Can we cut a deal of some sort?" Dragon is reasonable and willing to make a discussion or make a deal out of it. So the dragon will tell the players, "Well, there's this place called the Hall of Wisdom. I want to get in there, but it's magically sealed, and you need 4 keys to get in there. I don't have time to search for the keys because I'm busy looking over my domain, just watching over my domain here, making sure that any nasty creatures don't come in here and try to take up my territory. So if you guys can go about finding those keys for me and get me in there, I'll let you build your trade route in peace." So our players, being adventure-seeking, acquiescing players, will recognize that that's their call to adventure, and they will answer it, presumably. If they want to play a game, they will. And so they'll do some research and slowly, step by step, work on finding these keys. And that's kind of the premise of our campaign. We've already mapped out finding the first key, which is buried up in here among all of the giant tribes that live in the mountains. So our players have already worked on that and found that key. The next step is they come down here and they're going into the abandoned city, the abandoned dwarven city of Cagdaral. They show up there, find out it's not so abandoned, there's some Durgar there, a few misadventures can happen there. Ultimately, one way or another, they're going to learn that the key is likely hidden inside of the ancient dwarven treasure vaults, which are a little north, still underground, but north of the city here. So that's what we're working on right now, is we're building the dungeon, which is their trip out of the city towards these vaults so that they can try and get the key. That's pretty much where we've left off. So one thing that I keep thinking of, and I haven't done, and I don't know why I haven't done this, because it's it's a pretty obvious next step here, is I haven't actually put a little marker to show where those vaults are, which is really just kind of silly. Because we obviously need that. So I'm just going to quickly plop that in here. We can go ahead and take our little path route that we have been using for all of our sort of footpaths that players will take. Right. And it's going to terminate somewhere right around here is where the... Oops, actually, wait. I need to right-click that to make that go away. So that's kind of where it terminates. That's where our vaults are going to be. They're right kind of on the border of the lake, which, you know, may or may not seem ill-advised. We can always argue away that the lake wasn't there 2,000, plus years ago when it was first made, and then over time that's happened, and so that's why that's there. I don't know. We don't always have to have everything exactly figured out. Sometimes stuff is just the way it is. I'm sure I'll come up with a good reason for it because I'm sure my players will make a comment about it. So I'll just ad-lib something and it'll be fine. It'll be fine, and I'll pretend that it was part of the plan all along, and everything will be great. So we're gonna. It's kind of lame because we've already used this thing down here, but we're just gonna use this same one right here to represent the vaults because it is kind of like an underground cavey type of situation. Even though they never, even though to get there they don't have to go underground. Actually, hold on a second. We can set this up so the pathway goes right in. Look at that. So, okay, so there we go. We'll put a label there real quick. We need labels. We're of course using Bilbo because what other font would even make sense for a medieval hand-drawn style map? Am I right? I mean, come on. What kind of insanity? What kind of craziness? I forget what font size I've been using for these. Hold on, we can find out. We can find out here. Font size 22. Okay. So we'll just put one. No. Oh shoot. Undo. If we do that, there we go, and it'll just copy the stuff for us. Okay, so this one we'll call. I don't know, what do we want the official title to be? We can go with like the ancient vaults, the dwarven vaults. I feel like you know what we're gonna do? Vaults of Kagdaral. I think that seems to me to make the most sense. And just for appearance sake, just kind of make this look as sensible as we can. I guess actually we can just kind of keep that one upright. We don't need to angle that one. So there we go. So we just kind of do that. There. Great. See, this is, and then we can just kind of zoom out, and if we go to just the grab tool, so that way we're not accidentally messing with our stuff, and zoom out, and we can see how like our map is slowly starting to fill out as we add more and more things. It's always hard when you first start a map, right? Or at least for me it is when I first start a map and I'm going the way that I'm going, like using my workflow where I start off maybe just planting a couple important things and then letting myself fill it in as I go. It starts off looking kind of empty, and it can be kind of hard because you want to have this beautiful filled out map. But if you just have that patience, you know, and then you can start filling stuff out, and it starts looking kind of neat. Like we got some pathways going here. We got a lot of like more populated areas versus less populated areas, and it just kind of ends up having its own look about it that is unique and fun, and it feels a lot more natural this way too. I always find if I take the time to figure out what's going into this campaign and then map it out afterwards, it feels more natural because then we're putting things in places that they need to be, just like we would, you know, if we're developing a city or something like that, right? You don't start off a populated area with, you know, 300,000 people and every building that's going to be in the final shape in there. No, it grows over time, and things go where they need to. So you end up having areas that are more like, you know, more heavily populated versus not heavily populated. And so if we let ourselves map it out like that in that sort of natural sense, we end up with what looks like a pretty natural, realistic map, all things considered, right? As we can see, we've got pathways that travel through along this river through the mountains. That makes sense. And then we have stuff plopped in the mountains as we need to in the region of the giants. So it makes sense that this area would be more heavily populated. It wouldn't make as much sense if we had tried to use up as much space and put like tribes all the way around. It would just look kind of weird and scattered. But here it looks like it makes sense. Got giant turf over here. Got the dwarven turf down here. And yeah, it just grows. So I don't know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But the upshot of that whole ramble is map look good. So cool. I like it. So we are working on the actual dungeon here for our next steps here. I suppose we better pull that up. We have a couple rooms. We've gotten a couple rooms going here. But we have a lot more work to do, so I guess there's not much to it other than to do it. Nothing to it but to do it. As someone says. I don't know who would have originally coined that term, but I heard it from somewhere else, and I use it all the time because I think it's a great saying. All right. Yeah. So. Great. So we have 2 rooms already kind of mapped out, and we've already sort of predetermined what's going to go in each room. I like to use random dice rolls to determine what elements of my dungeon are going to go in which room, just because that makes it kind of a fun, creative writing process, and it helps make sure that I don't fall into always making every dungeon be laid out the same. It's really easy to, without even realizing it, always craft things. Like, I don't want every boss battle to always be in the last room. Right? I like boss battles of a region to be kind of spread out in different places, and when you set it up like that, if you tie an important thing to that boss battle, it makes players have to explore a little bit more. So it just kind of adds a little bit of variety, a little bit of difference and stuff like that to do the random tossing about of stuff. And so we've already got that stuff predetermined, so we can just kind of go through, and at this point we're at the stage where we're just going to be adding in details. Like, we've already figured out our monsters and everything, so we just kind of have to fill everything in as necessary. 1 second here. Just really quickly have to manage 1 or 2 things. Always multitasking I am in my life. Always, always. It's just how my life is. But I'm okay with it. I like keeping busy. I prefer to be busy than bored, personally. Well, as a general rule. There's days when I'm so busy that I'd rather be bored. But as in general in life. In general in life. Alright, so in this room, so just like I was saying, where I don't like every boss to be in the last room. So this first stage, so this dungeon has 5 sets of 10 rooms in it, with the final boss, the final big bad, taking place in the last set of rooms. But each set of rooms I like to put in a mini boss. It helps the dungeon not necessarily feel like one big mega dungeon if you kind of break it up into discrete components and have a little bit of variety between each component. So like, I call it a dungeon, but it might almost be more accurate for me to just say, you know, a mini arc within the macro story, you know. So it's like for each arc has, you know, X number of smaller 10-room dungeons. This is kind of another way to think about it. It's all kind of arbitrary how you call it and refer to it, but the point is, there's going to be a total of like 50 different rooms, and 5 of them are going to either have a boss or a mini boss to help offer up some sort of, you know, landmark type of situations, you know, just sort of to give players a sense of, you know, a sense of checkpoint, a sense of progress going through it. So with that in mind, we're going to have our mini boss be in this, in room 3 over here, which is this one up here. Now, we're kind of, this part of the dungeon is an abandoned part of the dwarven city that they just left, right? So Kagdaral, currently owned and operated by Duragar, and the Duragar, they are not numerous enough to need the entire city. So in order to sort of keep themselves safe from all of the other nasty creatures that live in this network of dwarven caves and everything, have just sort of walled off part of the city that they need and left the rest of it to the wilds, with the thought process that they can always just reclaim it later. So that's where this is all taking place. This is just an abandoned part of the dwarven city, and so I had the thought to kind of make this almost a shopping center of sorts. So when players are going through here, they're basically looking through old shops and everything. So I've been just kind of trying to think about what would be some interesting shops. We've got a restaurant type of place over here. We've got a bookstore type of place right here. And if we're going to have a boss battle here, we want it to be something kind of interesting. But let's first see here. I can't remember. Our mini boss here is going to be, that's right, it's going to be the Nothic. It's going to be the Nothic along with like 1 or 2 other things. So we want this to ultimately have 600 experience points for the battle, and the Nothic is worth 450, so we basically need 150 more. We could do like a chitin and a male steeder, right? Like we could have the chitin. I kind of imagine the male steeders are like serving as the chitin's mounts in this. That's not like lore, or at least existing lore within D&D, but we're also doing entirely homebrew, so we can kind of do whatever the heck we want, and I just think that'd be kind of interesting. Spider people riding giant spiders as like a mounted cavalry. Something about that sounds simultaneously goofy and terrifying, so I kind of want to stick with that. I know we're going to need, let's see here, mini boss battle. 600 XP is what that's going to be worth in total. So go here. And then, but I like the idea of doing that. I always make sure that whatever the boss, whether it's a mini boss or like the big bad or whatever, I never let the boss, unless I have a really specific reason for it, I try to never let the boss be the only enemy that players are going to face in that battle. Because if you do that, even if it seems like it's a particularly tough monster, it's going to generally be a lot easier for players. Because they can focus all of their attacks on that one creature. Like, if you think about the concept of action economy, right? If there's only one enemy, even if it's a boss, that enemy is going to get hit by, if we're playing with 5 players, 5 times for every one that it can expend as a general baseline. I mean, it kind of changes based on who has multi-attack and things like that, but you get the picture. So even with one strong enemy, even though it's stronger, it's probably going to get beat up pretty easily. So I always like to put in some sort of lackeys to go with a boss. So that way there's something breaking up the player's attention, there's something else damaging them, just adding that complication that takes it from a, alright, everyone surround them and just keep hitting them again and again and again, to a like, oh, we need to try and think about some strategy and figure out how we're going to get through this challenge here. So, if we've got our Nothic, I apologize for the yawning. Like I say, I'm not used to streaming on Wednesdays, and it feels weird, and my body's all out of whack because of it. And it's all like, man, this is normally the time because normally Wednesdays are my days, my in-office days. And it's especially easy to do it this way now, because there are so few people in our office. Most people don't bother going into the office because we have to take all of our pandemic precautions and everything. But I choose to go into the office one day a week just to manage physical paperwork and everything. But the thing that's nice about it is because no one else is there, it's very quiet. So right around this time is when my lunch period is, and I don't need to worry about getting stuff done. So right about now is the time when I lean back in my chair and have a nice Wednesday afternoon midweek nap. Or at least doze and listen to a podcast or something. So my body's like, oi, why are we awake right now? This isn't standard, bucko. So I apologize. I apologize for my yawning. I promise I'm not bored or unhappy about being here. I'm actually really stoked that I get to stream on a Wednesday for a change. This is certainly way better than sitting in an empty office with blaring tube lights overhead and staring at cubicle walls with no window. I know some people prefer an office setting just because, like, for them it gives them that separation from work and home. And I think there's a strong correlation between, liking that and having more family at home. Like, if you have kids or something like that, those people tend to prefer working in the office. For me, no, I much prefer working from home. My home environment is so much more comfortable, and I'm actually much more productive in general. It doesn't exactly work because our office is so empty, but when I think back to when we were all in the office, so much time was wasted because of people who would come up to me and chat. Like, I'm not much of an office chatter. I'm not much of a chatter as I sit here and chat and ignore what I'm working on here. Kind of illustrates the point in a way. But like, I don't really care to socialize at work. Like, I'm the kind of person where it's like, I have a job, I'm here to do that job and get paid. And the more efficiently I can do that job, the more time, the more life I can reclaim for myself because I've gotten what I need to get done. That's just the kind of person I am. However, not everyone is like that. And when you're in an office setting, they kind of have free reign to just kind of constantly be walking by my desk and chit-chatting and everything, and I have the misfortune of my desk being right next to the break room. So, all day, everybody is walking back and forth past mine. So many distractions. Where I'm going with this is, I'm actually a much more productive and efficient worker at home than I am when I'm in the office, because when I need to get work done, I can go into my office at home and I can make sure that my home office is exactly the right atmosphere for me to work and there are no distractions. So it's a funny thing. I don't know how I got talking about that. Oh yeah, because I'm sleepy right now. So forgive me if I yawn. I'm used to zoning out for an hour right around this time. It's the holidays. I have entirety of next week off, so I essentially have 13 straight days that I can nap all I want. So I'm here for this. As though you guys would be offended by me being bored by my own stream. It sounds like a me problem, right? Oh my goodness. Okay. So we know for our enemies here, we know we're going to have our Nothic. Because that's our mini boss here, and that was worth 450 XP. So the kind of internal debate I'm having exactly at this moment is, do I want how much distraction and confusion do I want to incorporate into this mini boss battle? On the one hand, the more number of enemies, the more chaos, and I tend to prefer that for a boss battle, just because even if it's 10 really, really easy enemies, players always feel more overwhelmed, and battles always feel more chaotic when there are more enemies. I mean, you ask your players, it's just a psychology thing, but like, if you have your players and you put them against 10, challenge rating 1/4 kobolds versus 1, Tarask? I've never actually said the word before. I've only ever seen it in Tarask. The big giant one, the World Ender. If you give them 10 kobolds versus 1 World Ender, they will likely think, whether it's true or not, they will likely feel and think that they are more in control during the World Ender battle than fighting 10 kobolds. And it's simply a psychology thing, because they might have 2 people go and then 7 kobolds in a row just wail on them, and suddenly they feel overwhelmed. So if you want to have sort of a chaotic, almost like a sense of urgency, if you want to add urgency, a feeling of urgency and danger, add more enemies. Make the challenge ratings lower and add more enemies. And that's usually my philosophy and approach when we're talking about a mini boss or a major boss battle. That said, this is just our first section in what is going to be an ever increasing difficulty dungeon. So I wouldn't be that opposed to just kind of keeping it simple, keeping it easy for them during this early part. And the other thing too is, I just think it would be really funny if they walk into a building and see a spider guy riding a giant spider looking thing, and just kind of having that Spider-Man meme moment where they're just like, and they just see this thing. I don't know. In my brain that is funny, but there's a very good chance that I'm the only one who thinks that way. So maybe it would just be smarter to throw 3 of the Steeders rather than 1 of the chitin and 1 Steeder. I don't know. Screw it. This is my campaign. I'm going with my vision, and my vision is Spider-Man, Spider guy, Spider-Human, Spider-Man, kind of. Spider-Man invokes the wrong image. The human spider. one chitin, 1x chitin, worth 100 XP. Riding. Oops, not 110. That's my bad. I got my fingers confused. There we go. And then 1 of the giant Steeder. Yeah, or not giant Steeder. It's male Steeder. I don't really know why they bothered differentiating between the male and female Steeders, because I'm doubtful that players are going to pause everything to try and sex the Steeders and figure out which one is like you would with chickens when you're trying to separate the hens and the roosters, right? You sex the chickens, the little baby chicks, and so you can separate them. I doubt players are going to do that with a giant spider thing that's trying to eat them. I never say never. Players always surprise me, but I've never seen it happen, and I just can't think of a situation in which they would be motivated to do that. So I don't know. I'm probably putting too much thought into it. Anyway, these are the enemies we're going to do. For a shop here, maybe, it would be kind of cool. I feel like this would be a good situation. I think it would actually be kind of cool if we set it up so that the mini boss and the chitin and the Steeder aren't in cahoots, because they're not really the same thing. Like, I kind of have in my brain that the chitins are an existing faction elsewhere in these caves, that they're just like, they send envoys out to try and get supplies and everything like that. And the Nothic is just some sort of weird, nasty guy that hangs out in this area. So I kind of have this idea that they'll walk in, they'll see the chitin and the male steed, or like the chitin is in here looking for, maybe it's like an alchemy shop, and he's looking for potions, or he's trying to brew up a potion of some sort. And then just kind of off to the side up in the rafters, a Nothic is watching, because the Nothic was hunting the chitin. But then the players go and get in a fight, and maybe the Nothic is clever enough to wait until the players take out the chitin and everything, and then he jumps down to try and do what he will to the players once they're like weakened. And it's a low level boss, so he's not necessarily super discerning on how weakened the players will be, so they probably won't be that impacted. But that could be a good way to sort of soften them up, and then have like a fresh enemy come down, because no matter what, the players are level 5 entering this one. So what's the challenge rating of this guy? Challenge rating 2. Challenge rating 2 Nothic is not going to be too overwhelming for them in general. This is never, this stage of the dungeon is not meant to be the deadly one. This one's kind of meant to be the introduction to the type of environments and enemies they're going to be encountering, so that they can start building up a sort of meta knowledge about, what they're, it's both meta and character knowledge about what types of approaches are going to be most successful in this dungeon. So it doesn't need to be difficult, and so for that reason, it's okay for us to kind of separate out the enemies and give them fewer to fight at a time, because it'll still have that effect of softening them up a bit, maybe encouraging them to spending a couple spell slots so that they don't have their full strength when they actually fight the Nothic. And so sometimes that can be enough to add that extra, like I say, add that sort of, that sense of tension or that sense of urgency about a battle. So I think that'll work just fine. So let's see, I'm going to put a DM note about that right off the bat, so that way when we open this up and we return to this, in 17 years or however long it takes for me to actually run this campaign with someone, we can just say, when players enter, they only see the chitin and Steeder in the room, unless passive perception DC 14, because that's the difficult. So it's like maybe with a passive actually, I'm not even going to do a passive perception. We're going to say Steeder in the room. We'll do Steeder in the room unless they sneak in, and we'll do that one at DC. We can do that at DC 12, because this this chitin is distracted. He's looking for something. He's not sitting there waiting for enemies. So like he's not guarding anything. He's looking for something. So he's distracted as he's going through here. So chitin see the room unless they sneak in and investigate before entering combat, and then we'll actually add in and investigate DC 14. I want that to be challenging, because I want the Nothic to be hidden. So he'll just stay hidden unless players actively search for him. And then we'll just say chitin waits until battle, or no, not chitin, it's the Nothic waits until the battle with the chitin is over. Nothic waits until battle with chitin is concluded. And here's an even better one. Tries to drop down from rafters on most isolated player. So it's like it'll try and jump down and try and snatch one of the players or something like that, maybe. We'll do that. I don't know if that's in lore, but that just sounds cool. So we're making it lore for my homebrew world. See, this is why I love homebrew. That's why I love homebrew. I get to make the rules. I can do whatever I want. So, okay, tries to drop down, raptors on a so, entering this room, you see one of the half spider, half human abominations, and its giant spider mount. We'll say the chitin is distracted and appears to be searching for something among the shelves here of this apparent alchemy shop. And we can just add that. That's really all we need. That gives us our little bit of flavor text for players, introduces them to what they see when they walk in, and do stuff like that. And then we can just kind of go from there. You know, and you can just kind of ad lib, like suddenly the one guy jumps down, and you're like, oh no, right? So do that one, and then look at that. I wasn't okay. So this is, I'm admitting the fact that I did not pay attention to my own work at all, because I just kind of arbitrarily chose an alchemy shop, because I was like, yeah, maybe they're searching for some sort of potions or something like that. That seems like something that any civilization would be interested in rummaging through. I already predetermined through random dice rolls that this room's reward is going to be potions. Apparently I subliminally read that and just kind of knew, because that's too perfect. So we got potions. And then, okay, so one thing that I always try to do when I'm putting potions and stuff in my dungeons is I try to think about the enemies that are present and have the potions that they can find be a useful tool within that dungeon. So it's like if you have enemies that are capable of poisoning players, then you give antidotes. If they're capable of paralyzing players, you give some sort of cure to paralysis. If they use fire attacks, and you do like burn ointments and stuff like that. Just even if it's only in flavor for like reflavoring healing potions, I like to kind of do that. It's a very good atmospheric tool that can be really useful in helping get your players immersed in the game, right? The small details like that, if you put those in there, it just adds that extra little bit of zhuzh to whatever you're doing, right? That's like adding that extra dash of cayenne pepper into the chili that you're making, just to give it that extra little kick, right? That can jump it up from being good chili to great chili. Just making up an arbitrary example. So I always like to do that. We just to add a little description here. The struggle is, now that I've given them the information that this is indeed a potion shop, they're going to be expecting just like walls and walls, like bargain bin sales of, you know, greater healing potions, 70 of them on the shelf, buy 2 get 4 free. So I got to come up with some reason to limit the number we have here. So what we'll say is, while this is clearly, or we'll say this was clearly once an alchemy shop, it has also clearly been picked over in the past few centuries. Because remember, this city was abandoned when the unhinging first happened, and that was a couple thousand years ago. So is that, wait, hold on, no. If it's 1,000, that makes it millennia, right? Years are weird, and they don't follow. Well, they do follow, but yeah, so it's not centuries. We can say millennia for it. Millennia? Millennia? There it is. I think millennia is 1,000. I don't remember. If I'm being a dum-dum, you can mention it. Otherwise, I'm leaving it there, and we're going with it. Also clearly back. You know, I could just look it up. Look at this. Hold on. Is there? Oh, that's right. This is OneNote, not Word, so it's not going to give me like thesaurus or definitions or anything like that. So, all right, we're leaving it. We're going with it. I'm going to be that lazy guy who doesn't open up Google to look it up and make sure I'm getting it right. Millennia, 1,000 years. I mean, it makes sense, right? The year 2000 was the new millennium. So, like, I'm putting too much thought into this. Moving on. Been picked over in the past few millennia. Few potions remain, and of those that do, even fewer appear to still be well sealed and usable. Well, and we'll say, but with thorough scrounging, we'll say with thorough scrounging, you're able to find ... and we'll put our list. But I actually want to, I'm trying to add a little bit more chance into some of the rewards and make it so it's not just like, okay, you killed your enemies and now here on a silver platter are the rewards. So we'll say based on investigation rolls, DC 11 finds half of the potions. DC 12 finds 3/4, and DC 14 finds all of them. So we can just kind of say that they, you know, based on their ability, kind of ability, just based on how well they search around, and, you know, dice might limit it. That's why I want to give at least half, even if the dice are like garbage. And we'll say, okay, and we'll say, here's how we can do this also. Less than DC 11 find 1/4 of the potions. And then DC 11, the easy one, they get half. The next one up, they find 3/4, and then at 14, they find all of them. So it's like they have to really rummage through, and they have to be careful and discerning as they're looking at these ancient bottles to find good usable potions. But that works. That works just peachy right there, I think. So now we got to actually figure out what our potions are going to be. And so I'm going to look at these monsters here. I don't think any of these guys have any sort of like poison ability. We've got chokers here, which have multi-attack and tentacle. There's a lot of these guys are really just about like biting and grappling. Like there's a lot of like, see, with the sticky leg and with the tentacle, there's a lot of grapple type stuff. So we could almost put an oil like the lotion of the I'm trying to think about something clever to talk about, like greasing and wrestling or something like that, right? The grease of the cheater, something like that, where it's just like it's basically you can just cover yourself in Vaseline so that way you're not easily grappled. You could do something like that. The other thing that we could do here is, because this thing does, this thing kind of has like psychic damage abilities. Weird insight, nothing targets one creature can see. The target must contest charisma check against its insight check. If the Nothic wins, it magically learns a fact or secret about the target. The target automatically wins if it is immune to being charmed. So it's like we have that and we have Constitution, so we could kind of do something like that. Or at least something oriented around that. Because we also have a doppelganger later on that does that too. So I'm actually going to kind of do that. So let's see. This guy, or what was this guy's? The save. So we have Constitution save for that one. For this one, let's read thoughts. Topic reads. Alright, so it just automatically does that, actually. Okay, can continue reading its thoughts as long as the doppelganger's concentration isn't broken. Yeah, so I guess it actually doesn't really... There's no save, so there wouldn't be... So we can just kind of make up a homebrew potion. I do that a lot, make up a homebrew potion. We can do, like, potion of like, firm mind or something like that. Just kind of come up with something random. And then it's like, if you do this... your mind is especially aware of its own faculties, and you gain like a +2 to any saves for you know, like psychic-based attacks or spells or something like that. I know we're gonna give them some health potions. And trying to think about what level of health potions they can get at this point. Let me just look at the existing stuff. Where is it always? It's here. Oh yeah, and you go to magic items, and then you go potion. Look at that. See, like oil of slipperiness. So we could use that. We could give them the oil of slipperiness to combat that. We'll have the opportunity to give them both of those, because I think I have 2 rooms that are going to have potions in here for this, that, or the other reason. But I wanted to look at potion of healing. So we have standard healing, greater healing. So usually it's standard healing is for levels 1 through 5. The way I do it, levels 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, and 16 through 20. So if they're going to be at level 5, we're still going to be at standard healing. So yeah, we'll just give them potions of healing. And I usually like to hand out equivalent numbers of potions per like player. So if we're designing this for 5 players, 5 potions. So I like to do 3 potion of healing, and then 2 potion of firm mind. I'm just like homebrewing this off the dome right now. So if you can think of a reason why this is broken or bad, then feel free to let me know. Or if you want, you can just keep quiet, and then one day I will let my players use this, and I will regret it, and I will come on stream and I will discuss my regret, and you can laugh. You can laugh and know your superiority. But we'll do potion of firm mind. Drinking this potion gives the user an especially keen awareness of their own thoughts and feelings for 1 hour. For 1 hour. While potion is in effect, player gains, I want to say, +2 to any save. I'm just wondering if I should do like wisdom save, like wisdom and wisdom and charisma, since those are the most common saves. But then again, that other one was constitution. So we'll say to any save on mind-based attacks is what we'll say. And we'll just leave it up to DM discretion, right? Because that's like one thing that I like about doing that stuff, leaving it up to DM discretion, is while it sometimes does make it easier for players to exploit, as long as your players aren't, buttheads about it, it can also be a great way to get a lot of creativity from your players. Like they'll say like, oh, can I use it for this way? Does this count as a mind-based attack? And it might get me to pause and think and be like, I hadn't thought about that, but sure, that's great. So we'll leave it like that. The other reason I'm always comfortable just leaving things like that, even if I'm not perfectly sure that it's going to be the best way to do it, is I can always come back and change it later. None of this is permanent and unchangeable. All of it can be modified. So there's no reason to lose sleep over it. So let's go ahead. That gives us pretty much everything we needed here. We got our potions, we got a reward, we got our boss set up. Now we just need to map this room. So I'm gonna map this room, and then I'll probably, once I map this room, I'll probably take just like a quick 5-minute break, like I do these days, just so I can run to the bathroom and just sort of take care of all that stuff. Just doing it once on the hour seems easier rather than me waiting until I'm about ready to pee myself and then have to run up out of here abruptly. So, I mean, I feel like, maybe some people would find it amusing to watch me go through the embarrassment of peeing myself, but I'm not really about that life personally. You guys would have to really start donating a whole lot of funds to me, to encourage me to do something like that. And as of right now, I don't accept any donations, so it ain't happening. All right, so we'll give the front door and our back alley door. That looks good. Go to our object tool here. Sometimes I like to use the scatter tool rather than the object tool, just because the scatter tool will automatically sort of spin things and make things look a little less painfully uniform. So I imagine the only problem is then if you do that, you can't manually change the orientation if that's what you want to do. So it only really works for things that are like square. So we're gonna just put a couple books here as if there's like alchemy based books, a couple bookshelves there. stuff like that. And then maybe just to make things interesting, let's go set that to under here. We'll just have like a couple books that have spilled out. Alright, so we can kind of do that. That makes it look interesting. Like we'll do that. Let's grab a couple of these tables, right? Because there'll be a few tables with a few items. Almost like there's a storefront, and then there's like the brewing section over here. And in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna actually try that again. Let's put the storefront. It would make more sense if we're just thinking about this being the front door. I'm gonna put like a storefront here and try and design this in a way, and we can. So it's like almost rather than having walls, they just use like bookshelves and shelves with supplies and stuff as a way to sort of create a what am I trying to say? Like a barrier, you know, a walled off area. And then there's just a couple tables with a few bits of supplies. And then back here is like the brewing section of everything, right? So we can just again do like lots of stuff. It's almost, I always imagine like potion shops and alchemy shops in D&D being arranged kind of like a modern day pharmacy, right? Where you where they have, you know, like some basic stuff, you know, your over the counters up front that you can grab that stuff, and like some bandages and stuff that would be out. But then in the back, that's where they like mix and put together all of the like actually really important medicines or the really powerful stuff. So I always kind of imagine that that's the situation. I want to, yeah, here we go, magic, because we got the pots there. Actually, first, before we do that, I think it's easier. Let's choose the over, and if we go lighting, we can put, well, no, oh, here we go. This is what we want. This is what I want. I want fire, because there's not like active fireplaces, but there's like the remnants of, so just some like potion brewing areas, right? So we can put a couple burnt out fires. Like if we put one right there and one right there, those can be our like kettles. And then we put, oh, we can do better than that. So we go to, where was it? It was magic that we can find some of this good stuff in. There it is. So if we, I thought it was, oh yeah, here there, that's what I'm looking for. So we can like put these cauldrons. They're gonna be empty, right? But there was once fires there. Maybe there's just like two different kinds of cauldrons there. So you do that kind of thing. Actually, I'm going to grab these and move them up here. We're not gonna worry too much about the logistics of whether they should have open flames inside of a shop like this, and we'll just assume the fact that it's made by dwarves in an underground setting, so everything is stone, and maybe they were smart enough to carve out a chimney of some sort. I don't know. It's a magical world. We can hand wave a couple things for the sake of aesthetic. So if we do that, and then maybe we just put a bunch of tables, and maybe they've got the tables arranged like, you know, a table there, and then you put like table and table, just so they can fit a couple extras in, right? Like table like that. And then they've probably got a couple tables over here. Just like that, because it's gonna all have all kinds of different stuff on it. And now we can go to our magic thing here, and we can just like imagine there being a couple of these types of, you know, piles of something or other. You know, you just kind of plop those down. Just trying to make this look kind of neat and interesting. There's too much going on there, but we can do that one. Oh, there would totally be like a couple like super ridiculously massive toadstools. Like, why would they be that big? That doesn't even make any sense, but that's okay. Especially underground. Where did they get those? Those growing this deep underground? I guess if there was something gonna grow underground, a fungi would be it. We can do stuff like that. And then I also want to go, I'm just going to search for, what, have I already used it? Yeah, I've already used that bottle. Hold on, let me search. It's not exactly what I'd like because the bottles are so big, right? It's a little bit bigger than like a potion vial, like we might think of. But we can do that, and then we can take like the broken. Let's go if we tuck that under, you know, like a fallen, crashing down bottle that rolled off, and that one's still sitting on the table, right? So you just kind of put those things there. Just add a little bit of interest there. We don't need to do a whole lot more. I guess we can kind of do the same up here, right, as if there were a couple on display. Just do that. Good enough. Adds a little bit of adds a bit of interest. Just kind of, like I say, just trying to zhuzh it up a little bit here. Let's go ahead and put in just a couple of chandeliers. I feel like they would keep up front well lit. But I feel like back here they would just have the one lantern if needed, because there'd be a lot of like warmth and light coming off of those fires traditionally. So we'll put that right there. And then we'll grab our nifty little lighting tool and go bloop, bloop, bloop. Realistically, these wouldn't be lit, and when I'm playing with my players, I will describe it as such and say, you know, all of these rooms are dark, so you either need to bring a torch with you or have dark vision. But for the sake of making the maps a bit more usable, because we play on the Foundry virtual tabletop, which Dungeon Draft maps work very friendly with it and create dynamic lighting and everything, which is awesome. But because we do that, because it does that, players, if it doesn't get it exactly right, and if you don't provide light, players will just, like, as they're looking at their screen, have a really tough time seeing everything. And in some ways it's kind of cool, because that adds a sense of realism, because like you're just working with your player's knowledge. But the thing is like, if everything is pitch black, it still takes away, like, you can still kind of get the sense for, is someone in the room with you? Do you hear noises? Can you see a silhouette? Like, there's a lot more finesse to sight and seeing in the dark than just like on or off. And so by providing the light here and just trusting your players to sort of meta game think about it that way, you can give them a better chance to sort of play the game, right, and follow the rules of the game, but without worrying about their own inability to see disrupting what would be a realistic interaction and stuff like that. You know, plus, and the other thing about it too is, like, it is a game. It is a game, and players want to be able to see the map and strategize. And so to that I say, of course, why not? That sounds great. But at any rate, you know, blabbering aside, that looks like a pretty good potion shop right there. I am a-okay with how that one's turning out. So I think that'll be great. And we're ready to move on to our next room. But first, I am going to just take a quick 5-minute break. Like I say, I gotta use the potty. I keep myself hydrated, but it means every once in a while you gotta answer that call from Mother Nature. So I'm just gonna take care of that. I'll refill my beverage. It probably won't even take 5 minutes. So sit tight. I will be back very shortly. I do appreciate your patience, though. So yeah. I will be right back. quick as that. Quick as that. Already back and ready to go. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Appreciate the patience and understanding. I might have the personal desire to have 0 breaks, but my bladder is not always on the same page about that. Which is probably good, because it's probably healthier for me to undergo normal bodily functions rather than ignoring all of that. So, you know. Anyway, that's probably more information than anyone ever wanted to know about me. What is this, OnlyFans? Alright, so, our next room. Gonna have a medium battle hidden in here. Easy enough to figure out. That's worth what, 400 experience points from what we've predetermined? Yes, 400 experience points worth of bad guy. So we got that going there. And we're gonna put something down there, but we can decide what we want to do. So, you know, we got a few options. We got to figure out 400 experience points. We could do 2 chokers, 4 chitines. We could do 8 steeders. Just a big ol' steeder ranch hiding in there. Let's take a look at what kind of space we have in our room. I don't want to overstuff. Oh, this is a fairly big one, so we can go with a few more. Might normally. You know what we could do? Got 400. We could do 2 of the chitines and 4 of the steeders. That'd be kind of an interesting way to mix it up a bit, right? A bigger, a sort of a big-ish battle there. I'm gonna do that. 4x steeder. Those are worth 50 XP a pop. I always like to put the extra notes about how many experience points are in the battle and how many experience points are each enemy is worth, in case for some reason we have reason to only dish out some of the experience points, right? Like if players run away from a battle partway through, or if we can find a way to, you know, if it just makes sense to have some of the enemies run away or something like that. Just that way we can divvy it up and make it a bit more realistic. I like to run my games following experience point level up. I know that, I mean, I don't have any statistics on this, but if I were to just hazard a guess based on what I hear other people talking about, I know most people prefer landmark leveling up. My groups and we like to do experience points, just because I think it comes from the fact that a lot of us are big gamers, and there's something kind of fun and nice about having that, almost that progress bar that fills up, right? As you're getting closer to a level up, it kind of like gives that sense of accomplishment there. And the other reason that I do it too is because I use those experience points, you know, the amount of experience points to go from level, you know, A to level B, whatever 2 levels you're doing. I use that as sort of a good benchmark to know, okay, what kind of challenges should I be presenting my players? What, you know, how many experience points, roughly how much stuff needs to happen, you know, whether it's a lot of easier enemies or a few harder enemies. It gives you that sort of barometer to understand, like, okay, you know, this is what I should be presenting players to get from this level to this level. So I'm already kind of considering the experience points while I'm designing, so it seems like it's not really all that much work to just go ahead and write down the number there and give it to them. But it's all personal choice. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's all very personal choice whether or not you whether you decide to get as detailed with the experience points as I do. So, you know, grain of salt. If what I'm doing isn't your style, then don't mimic it, right? Stick with your style, because if you're a DM, using your own personal style that you're comfortable with and makes sense to you is going to help you be, you know, a smoother, more organized DM, and that's a more important component to running a good game than just, you know, following this, that, or the other prescribed method because, you know, 64% of people say they prefer it this way, right? The important part is to know your group and know how you design and run things and work with that to kind of create the proper experience that you're looking for. So, anyway, I digress. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm doing it like this. So we've got steeders and chitines here. I almost just want to do something like this. I want to say well, okay. First off, what shop? What kind of shop is this gonna be? We have a bar. We have an alchemy shop. We have a bookshop. Maybe this is like a. I don't know. Maybe it's like a. Oh, you know, it would be really. What would be? It would be really sad, but also really funny. Look at that. We can place the light. Look at that. Look at that. We can glitch the light so that it cuts from both. Anyway, sorry. It would be really funny. Really sad, but really kind of funny too. Like if we made this like a toy store. So there's like that uncomfortable realization that when, you know, the unhinging happened, it wasn't just adults that were impacted by this. Like small children were too. So it's like that reminder, like, yeah, no, this used to be a place that little kids ran around, and now they're all gone. Many of them probably dead or turned into Duragar. But the flip side, it would be really funny if they walk in onto Chitines sleeping, right, and there's like 4 of the Steeders just kind of rummaging around in here, and there's 2 Chitines that are like snuggled up with giant unicorn stuffed animals or something. It's like giant teddy bears. Would they have had teddy bears? Maybe they'd be made by with canvas rather than like that plush velveteen type of stuff, but I don't know, that's kind of a funny image, and I kind of want to stick with it. I kind of want to go with it. It'd be a big toy shop, though. Maybe that would be better served in one of these. Do we have a battle in either 5 or 7 that we could do that with? Oh, yeah, we got an easy battle. We can totally just put one Chitine, like, fast asleep, snuggled up with a little toy or something like that. That would be hilarious. That would be amazing. Okay, we're gonna save that idea. We're gonna do that idea there. So for a larger shop here, what would be a larger shaped shop that we shaped shop? Larger sized shop. That would be interesting. I mean, we could do like a weapons and armor shop, or just like a general. Actually, you know what? The largest one would probably, honestly, just be like a general goods store, a store that had all of that like random crap that everyone needs but doesn't really fit any other specialty store. So let's just do that. It's just like a general shop. So we'll say, let's see here. Let's do it this way. I'm going to add, because we've been kind of generous in having a lot of the enemies be distracted when players first walk in. So let's have this one be, players will struggle to sneak in DC. So we'll have that high difficulty, because one Chitine is tasked with keeping watch of the doorways while the other rummages around. And we'll just do that, and that's all we need to do. Immediately upon entering this shop, you see one of the Chitine creatures, and like it's a little meta to just give the players the name of this creature, because the concept within my world is that this is some weird abomination that was never really seen before the unhinging. So it's not like they would have like a strong history of knowing what this creature is, but sometimes it's okay to just sort of give that bit of meta away, just so you know what to refer to them as. It just makes it easier to when you've got, especially if you've got a battle that have Chitines and other things, it's just easier to be able to say like, oh yeah, I'm attacking the Chitine that's closest to me, rather than saying the one enemy that's really close to me among the 7 of them that are all pretty close to me. It just makes more sense. So I don't know, it's a little immersion breaking, but it's fine. Okay, you can see one of the Chitine creatures keeping watch while rummaging and shuffling noises among the shelves indicate at least one other is searching for supplies of sriracha. Put that on everything. Searching for supplies. Yeah, we'll just say that. Searching for supplies. And so then if the one keeping guard, if they don't have that good stealth, that good stealth, then they're like, yeah, they're just face to face, and you just give your Pokemon battle music. Potions, there we go. See, we talked about the potions there, and now we've got it. Oh, and like that's actually perfect for because we did that potion of firm mind, right? So that can help with like the psychic based things that are around here. That they'll face, especially later when they have to deal with like the doppelganger and stuff. This one for the general goods, we can do like the potion of slipperiness, and we can just have it be labeled as like baby oil or something like that. I think that'd be really funny. Hold on, let me just see something here. I just want to see. Was it back here? Oil of slipperiness, that's what it was. It says it's uncommon, but sticky black unguent is thick and heavy in the container, but it flows quickly when poured. The oil can cover a medium or smaller creature along with the equipment it's wearing and carrying. One additional vial is required for each size category above medium. Applying the oil takes 10 minutes. The creature then gains the effect of freedom of movement spell for 8 hours. Disabling creature for the duration of its movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. Spells other than magical effects can neither reduce the target's speed or cause the target to be paralyzed or restrained. The target can also spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape non-magical restraints, such as manacles or a creature that has it grappled. Yes, it's gonna be baby oil. Like that's a general good product. I think that's perfect. I think that's absolutely perfect. Okay, so the shelves of this general goods store are sparse. Are sparse. However, in the back, a small collection of some basic potions can be found. And what I'm going to say, I'm just going to put a little DM note here. Again, I'm trying to, especially because we're kind of getting later, like halfway through and beyond through this campaign at this stage, I'm trying to not give as many like freebies. So we'll say DC 12 to investigate and find the potions tucked in the back. So it's just like they got to work for it, and it's like it's the type of thing where they'll probably find it pretty easily. DC 12 is not particularly challenging, but if we at least do that, there's the chance that they can flub it and then not have anything. Sorry, hold on a second. I'm trying to multitask as always, and as always, I never learn. Multitask doesn't let me. All it does is it makes me do a mediocre job of multiple things at the same time. So, all right. But yeah, so that just makes it so it's not all freebies, and there's still the chance that they can completely fumble and then miss out on some important stuff. Miss out on important stuff, or make it so it's like, no, you guys got to come back after a long rest if you want to try that again, or at least a short rest. So it's like they use up some of their time, because I do like to put sort of time limits on players when they're in dungeons, namely in the name of rations. Like I don't necessarily make them count out the rations and know that kind of stuff, but with just a general principle of like, you guys can easily in your pack carry a week's worth of food with you. And so if you're getting on, like if it's your 5th long rest in this area, you guys are starting to think like, hey, we got to figure out and we got to find some supplies in some way, shape, or form, whether leaving here or searching for something a little different than what we've been looking for. And so if you kind of add these little things, they're good. It's a good way to add little bits of time to sort of like kind of take away a lot of their ability to find everything necessarily. It's a very Persona approach to like the timing and choosing what you're going to do with your time at any given time. How many times can I use the word time in a single sentence? At any rate, just adds that little bit of complexity. Helps keep it a game rather than just like a storybook that they just like if you think of it, it automatically happens. It keeps it a bit more of a game, so there's like some chance and some random happenstances that can impact the outcome of it, potentially making things more challenging, which I personally enjoy when things don't always go according to plan, when I do get to be a player, and I try to instill that same perspective in my players when I can, because I think that's what makes it fun. If everything just goes right, then write a book, particularly a young adult book, right, where there are always challenges and adversity, but they always just kind of succeed at it, because that's you're keeping your target audience in mind. But at any rate, we will do our customary 3 potion of healing, and then we're gonna do 2x oil of slipperiness. Slipperiness that way? Yeah, there it is. Oil of slipperiness. Call it baby oil, 'cause is funnier. Okay, no, I'm not gonna do that. It's the stupidest, most immature way that I could have called that out. All right. So we're gonna put in. So we gotta put in some doors here. Get our portal tool going on here, and then I don't know why, but not snapping the doors to the grid always just makes me uncomfortable. So we'll put a door right there, and then we'll put a door right here. Like there's 2 front doors, because this would be all like. Okay, here's something fun. So I have not been doing windows to these places because they're all largely it's all underground. But now that I think about it, what would actually make a lot of sense is if they did have windows as like display windows. So I'm gonna put in a couple windows. Yeah, I guess this one's fine. And I'm gonna have it so that the windows are always just like on the storefront, and it's just meant to be like a way to look in, right? So we do a couple windows like that, and then we can do maybe 1, 2, 3 like that, right? So it's like there's a couple windows to look in there. Maybe there's just like a big picturesque. I mean, it kind of doesn't pan out that way just the way it does, but there's like a big picturesque window looking in. There's one looking into that shop. So we've got our general goods shop, and I like to imagine it's like display windows that just wrap around, right? I've got just like a big corner of display windows that peer into the shop, and then what we can do is we can go. Oh no, we want our object tool there. We'll look at our used ones, and what we can do is we can set up a bunch of like display tables, and we can just like put a few random objects there as if like those were their display items. That worked out with the snap there, but I don't usually like the snap, so yeah. So it's like they've got their displays, and we can just put a couple things there, right? Like general goods, we can put like there's a kettle for sale or something. I don't know. It's whatever. We can kind of do whatever we want, but it's like you do that, and then we'll grab our. I end up kind of over representing bookshelves in the shops, but the reason I do that is because it is difficult to have an entire shop of just like tables like this and then make them look interesting and believable in map making software like this. So the bookshelves kind of give an excuse to have something that's like already filled in and interesting looking, if that is a sensical thing for me to say. So that's kind of the wisdom behind why I put a lot of bookshelves in places other than bookstores. And it's like we can do that, and then we can kind of put a couple shelves right there, something like that. And then maybe there's just some more tables of like displays and stuff over there, right? So that's the general goods shop, and so it's like, well, no, but see, that's the thing though. We need to set up one other barricade so that way there can be sort of that believable something is out of sight in the back. So if we do this, right? If we do it like this, then players kind of walking in from either direction won't necessarily be able to see what's over here in the back, right? If there's something shuffling there, their kind of line of sight could be blocked either direction. So if we do it that way, and then we can just over here, here's how we can do it. Do like table and table, and that's got some displays there. almost want to put another table just like right there, as if it's like one of those like book displays where it's like today's featured reads are, and just stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I'm okay with it like that. Not my fanciest looking one, but hey, you know. Okay, I don't know. I know they've got tools. Just like, you know, maybe on this one we've got like, oh, this is their rope table. This is where you can find all of their high quality ropes. And it's like, I don't know, maybe there's some like hand brooms for sale. There we go. I don't know. Just making it up. This is all random. It doesn't matter. Who are we kidding? Players aren't even going to notice this detail. This is all for me. This is all for me. My own personal obsessions and ego. Trying to make this all look beautiful and perfect. Thorn. Huh, interesting. I'm surprised that they have a... I really paid attention to the fact that they have a completely... Oh, we can put a trap down. But they have like a completely... separate thing for that. I don't know. Anyway. It's a completely separate thing for thorns. Thorns? Thorns. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My tongue is tied and twisted. Oh, sack. Perfect. We can just put like a couple sacks. And presumably they would be like labeled flour or whatever. Oh, and here we go. If we put that underneath. Right. So like one of them fell down a long time ago and just like spilled all over the floor. Something like that. Do that. Oh, games. That would be in a general store. Like, yeah, you can like buy a chess set in the general store. You go back over. Right. So it's like, boom. There's that game there, and then maybe there's like a couple decks of cards. Boom. There we go. That's a display if I ever saw one. This shop is a little empty. I haven't made this one quite as compact as I would usually. I almost want to put another layer, like have a different an extra layer of bookshelves just to make it a bit more interesting. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll do one more round of them there, and I think that'll help make it seem a bit tighter. Because like I imagine all of these shops, because they're trying to be so efficient with their space, you know, in this underground dwarven city, right? They keep the buildings small so they don't have to like carve out as much stone, but they keep things small and then use the space very economically. Just try and cram as much stuff in the space as they can, so that way they're maximizing the space that they do carve out. So I kind of want all of these shops to feel particularly cluttered and tight. So we can, and you know what we can even do to that end? We can, just to make things a bit more interesting here, no, I guess not. I guess I'm actually happy with it being the way it is right there. So then we've got the one guy rummaging back there, and that will certainly cut off the view when they first walk in. If he's right in the center, no matter which door they come in, they won't be able to see the one. And then like maybe the other one's right here, so that like, you know, he can be seen wherever they are. He's just kind of posted up there, keeping an eye out on everything. So we can do it that way, and I think that'll look just fine. I'm gonna put one more shelf here. It just feels empty in that corner. There we go. Actually, wait, no, hold on. No, nah. Undo. We'll do another table, and this one we'll put a couple old loose books. Actually, I want to put that one right there, and then this one can go just like that. There we go. There, a couple of books there. That makes that looks pretty good. It looks passable. It looks passable. It's not stellar. It's not gonna win any awards, but it's going to win the hearts of my players when they eventually see it. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Alright, so we got to get some lighting in here. Again, realistically, it's not like these would be lit at all, but it's just helpful to players if you give them this little extra bit of light here, so that they can actually see and visualize what I'm trying to describe and present to them. Very well lit. Very well lit. It's a lot of light, but it's kind of irrelevant. Alright, so we got that taken care of. I'm looking at this, and I had an idea. Do they have, try searching here. Do we have fountains? Yes, we do have fountains. I had the thought that it would be kind of cool if there were, like, fountains in these central areas. Fountains surrounded by, like a series of benches or something like that. So if we put, like, a fountain there, we do a bench, and we can just do, like, park benches or something. That's a little fancier than we need. Look at that. They have, like, already filled out workbench and stuff. I didn't realize they had that item in there. Remember that. Okay, we're absolutely going to go with the stone benches. And I like the idea of them all being on the diagonal here. So there we go. That's like the city square. They had a little fountain. Had a little fountain thing going on there. It looked great. It's great. It's great. So we got that there. Got that in there thing right there. You know what I'm gonna do actually too? Because I'm thinking of it right now. One thing that I want to do is let's go back to our lighting here. I do want to put torches. There wouldn't be a tremendous number of them, but this is an underground city, so the city planners would recognize that, like, torches are going to be a necessary thing down here. Wait, can I just... Oh, it mirrors it the wrong way. If we do, like, one right there, and then one right here. Like I say, they're sparse and few between, but there would absolutely be torches around. And, like, they would want the square to be kind of well lit, so maybe there's a few of them around here. And one right there, right? Just so that way people walking around have some way of being able to see where they're going. And I'm not going to put any in the alleys. The alleys are dark alleys, and players are just going to have to deal with that, because I don't want those to be even like beneficially visible for them. Like, those are dark alleys. You gotta be a brave dude to go in there, and that's that. But we can put torches like that up there in our main drag there, and then we have our main walkway entrance right here. So then what we can do is we can take our light tool. We'll make them a little bit smaller because they're singular torches, not entire candelabras. Just put these around. So that just adds enough light that players don't feel completely in the dark as they're playing. I should not try to tell jokes. It's just awkward and uncomfortable. There. Okay, so we got some torches and lighting, and actually, you know, we're here. We're thinking about all of these little side component things that are important parts still, but kind of get pushed off because I get thinking about doing other things here. So let's go back to our object tool. I want to search for the fountain again here, because I want it to be a different fountain. So we used that one. That one's pretty teeny tiny. That one looks good. I'm gonna bump up the size on that. Let's do 1.5. How big does that end up making it? There we go. That's more the size that I like. So we can put that right there, and then we'll go back to, where's our bench? There you are. And this one, they won't be the diagonals. They'll be on the north, south, east, west faces. There we go. So there we go. So there's just like just a couple little, like I say, this is almost like a shopping center. Like it's almost gonna have the vibe of a mall, right? That's kind of what it's gonna do, because the outside here is just it's a hallway. It's a hallway, just like at a mall. So yeah, I think that's good. I like that. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Okay, we got room 5 here. Let's try and squeak in one more. One more room here. Or at least get it started before I call it a writing stream for the day. We'll be doing video games later, but I'll go over all of that once we're actually done. I want to try and get this in here. Hard battle. And that's going to be worth... Oops. And that's going to be worth 600 XP. It's the same as like the mini boss one, right? But the mini boss just has like a unique dude in there that's doing his own thing. So if we got 600 experience points, we could... This would be a good one. We could do 3... Oh, let's do 3 chokers. Let's do that. I like that. 3 choker. Those are each worth 200 XP a pop. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna pull up here. No, I don't want your advertisements. I wanna look at this guy and see what his deal is here. Oh, excuse me. Chokers have cartilage rather than bony skeleton. Sly trappers. Choker's usual method for luring prey involves positioning the body. Hunters, chokers tend to set their ambushes alone rather than working in concert, but where one creature is found, others are likely to be nearby. Communicate through eerie, keening howls. Travel long distances through rock, but are difficult to identify or locate in a typical echo-filled cavern. So they can be found together, but they don't really hunt together. So what is a group of them doing together? Maybe actually, I think it'd be kind of funny if there's just like 3 of them piled around each other, just like discussing things with each other. We'll say, and what I'm gonna do actually for this one, I'm gonna say players will have an easier time sneaking up on these guys as they are deep in some strange, screeching, incomprehensible discussion. So we'll do it DC 11. Give them the easiest time with it. Okay, so before you even enter this shop, you hear strange screeching noises coming from inside. Look, oh, here, okay, I have an idea. I know what they're all going to be doing together. So they're as silly as it is, they won't just be sitting there having like a reasonable discussion, right? But they will be conversing. Excuse me, in that they are all yelling at each other to try and, like, because they're all fighting over, like, I don't know, some piece of, like, food or something that one of them hunted. Like, maybe there's a giant rat or something that one of them hunted, and they're all fighting over it. Inside, you see 3 creatures with strange, long, rubbery limbs. These chokers seem to be fighting over the corpse of a dead giant rat. There. So I'll give that to him. And now we gotta think of like the lore here. Cause like I like to just drop little bits of lore into the dungeons. Where I can. And actually, I already have an idea here. I already have an idea for this one. This is going to be great. And this will lead into the lore that we see below, which are the injured Duragar, and that one's going to lead into a side quest here. They're in this vault, or they're heading towards these vaults to try and find the key that they need to get. But also in this dungeon, there are injured Duragar who need help escaping if they're going to make it out. And so we can kind of just like tack on top of that. I have an idea for lore. we'll say inside this shop are the corpses of a few Durgar. They are well decayed and have begun to, they're well decayed. Actually, know what we're gonna say. They are mostly skeletons, and there is a look about them that their bones were picked clean by other creatures in this dungeon. And here's what we're gonna do. Searching the corpses. Okay, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna put the DM note right here, because the idea that I have here, what I'm coyly not saying because I'm just being silly, is the idea is that there's gonna be a note inside that's got like their orders from either their orders from the Durgar King, or just like a journal entry from one of them, just like discussing we were injured, the creatures know where we are, the creatures know where we are, we failed our mission or something like that. But then like the challenge for it isn't necessarily finding it. It's like as long as they think to rummage through the corpses, they'll find the journal, and then it's going to be, can they understand what is it? Was it Undercommon that they speak? Pretty sure it was Undercommon. So I'm gonna do that's here. If players search the bodies of the Durgar, they will automatically find the journal kept by one of them. Players must be able to understand Undercommon to read. Okay, so we can do that. Searching the corpses, you find very little of value, but one apparently kept a journal with him. Most entries are surprisingly mundane, discussing struggles of work and family. We'll humanize them a little bit here. But the last entry, actually, wait, hold on. And then I'm just gonna put like an extra little jam note here. Next part only if players can read Undercommon. Just again to remind myself and not give anything too interesting away. Struggles of work and family. Trees are surprisingly mundane, discussing struggles of work and family. However, the final entry expresses that this contingent of dwarves were all injured fighting off chokers. They managed to barricade in here, but are all wounded and cannot easily flee. And we'll just leave it at that, honestly. We can just kind of put it there. It doesn't need to be anything else more detailed than that. And that's perfectly fine. Okay, so we got that kind of thought through. So now we just got to figure out what kind of tiny little shop this thing is. We can have this, maybe this is just like, it's not a, there's no metalworking done here, but they sell swords and stuff like that. Not like sell swords, but like they sell swords. You know what I mean? They sell the swords. Hold on, if I do rack, will it have, no, okay. let's try doing weapon. There we go. Yeah, so we can find weapons racks. Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. We'll just like have a small shop. That's just like, it's more so it's like a storefront for guys that, or for a group of armorers and shield makers, right? It's just a storefront for people to come in and place orders that they will then make for people. So I kind of want to do it just like that, just like super simple. Oh, I see what I did wrong though. We need to put that back to 1. Everything is turning out bigger. No wonder those things are so huge. Hold on. Let's get rid of those. And we'll try that again. Okay, we got our 1. Does it keep them in used? It doesn't, dang it. Yeah, here we go, weapons. There we go, that's more like it. So now we can do like 1, 2. It doesn't matter that they are 2 of the same, it'll be fine. There. There, and then we'll go to used. Grab that table. And it's like create a makeshift front counter. There we go. Just as simple as that. Oh, I should probably put a door and some windows on here like I've been talking about doing. Yeah, that's going to be in our construction setting here. Just grab a simple door. Snap. Turn off the rotations. We can put door right there. We'll put the door right there. And then we need to put a window right there, perhaps. We'll do a window right there and right there. They want people to be able to see what they got in the store. So we do that. And so, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I dig it. I dig it. Just add a little bit of light, and it'll look just peachy. Well, we can unsnap to grid here. Actually, I think this one I'm just going to have it get away with. They've just got the 1 lamp there. And get our lighting tool here. Make it a bit bigger. There, see that lights up the whole room just fine. It's a Bare Naked Lady song. Light up my room. Anywho, yeah, we can just do that, and like this one has no back door. Well, how about that? How about that? No back door. Great. All right, I think that that looks great. That's a good room there, and that timing is just about bang on. It is 1:29. And my intent was to stream for a couple hours here doing some writing, and then stream video games for a couple hours to make up for the fact that I missed Monday. So yeah, I think that's we made some good progress. We decorated and organized a handful of rooms. That's really good. I'm just glad to always sit here. I'm always glad to sit here and make progress on this stuff, and I'm just generally always glad to sit here and stream. I really enjoy streaming. It is so much fun. I have a lot of fun with it, and it's like, it's always flattering to me that there are people that are interested in what I'm doing. Like, even as just background noise, I find it kind of flattering that there are people who just like to kind of put on and see what I'm working on. So yeah, you know, on that note, thank you so much to everyone who joined me today. You know, you guys stopping by and joining me is what makes it really fun and gives me, because like if I didn't want people, and if it weren't fun for me to have people, I wouldn't stream it, right? I would just write this in the quiet privacy of doing it alone. So thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you guys. This week, things are, like I say, the schedule is really weird this week. As of right now, I'm planning on streaming tomorrow on Thursday, but that might change. Tomorrow at some point in time during the day, I'm supposed to be heading out of town, and as of right now, I'm planning on doing that in the afternoon, but things like that change a lot. So I'm intending to stream tomorrow, but I make no 100% guarantees. If you would like to get the most up-to-date notifications on whether I will or won't be streaming, I do have a Discord server, and I put a lot of announcements about when I'll be streaming on there. So if you would like to kind of be in the know about that, get yourself signed up for that Discord. Everyone's welcome. You know, we'll bring everyone in, and we can get you squared away, and you can pay attention that way. Otherwise, you know, if you've got notifications turned on, you'll just get a little buzz when I go live, and so you can tune in then. That way, either way is 100% acceptable. Whatever works for you guys, baby. Whatever works for you. So I got that, and the only other self-plug is I do have my YouTube channel. That's a good place to go if I'm not streaming and you want a bit more content. I put all of my VODs up there, so you can go check out and see things that I've worked on in the past for writing. If you want to see me play in some games and stuff like that, you can check out the game VODs that I have there. All my VODs go there, so it's a good place to get some more me. If you just feel like you need more of me in your life, which I mean, I can't blame you. Oh, you can go to the YouTube channel, and you can find me there. So yeah, I think that's all the plugs that we've got. Talked about this week's schedule. Next week's schedule also, just because I may not be here tomorrow, so I might as well just kind of give a heads up to next week. I know I will not be streaming next week Monday. However, other than that, I have the week off. There's a lot of plans to spend a lot of good time with family and friends, which is important to me, and that'll kind of be taking priority next week because that's when I've got the time to kind of catch up with some of the people that I've not been particularly good about visiting, because I'm a bad friend and a bad person. No, it's not like that. You know how it is. Life just gets busy. But at any rate, I will have the week off. So whenever there's downtime, I may log on and stream. But if I'm busy, I'm busy. So I know definitely not Monday. Any other day of the week. Again, if you want notifications, if you want alerts about that, you can make sure notifications on, or get yourself on the Discord and you can find out about that. But the rest of this year is just kind of on a little bit of chaos, and then hopefully in the new year we'll get back to our usual streaming schedule of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's the state of things right now. That's the state of it all. And yeah, so again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to take a 15-minute break, and then I'm going to come back and play some Neverwinter Nights. I've been working on that one, just kind of slowly chipping away at that campaign, having a lot of fun with that. So if you want to hang out a little bit more, see me play some video games, you can do that. We'll be here. You can check back in like 15-20 minutes and see when I go live for that. Otherwise, you're still cool, rad people. I appreciate you guys stopping here for some writing. I had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, take care of yourselves, because I'll be excited to see you next time you do tune in. So again, thank you so much to everyone. I can't say it enough. Appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will be back shortly. So either sit tight, or I will see you in the future. I don't know. I keep saying the same things over and over again. I'm just really awkward at ending these things. I just don't really know what to do with my words to have a good cutoff. So I don't know. I guess just bye. Yeah, bye.